Well, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Speaker, I have had many extraordinary women in my life who have helped shape me into the man I am today. From my mother to my grandmothers to aunts, teachers, and even neighbours, women who have played a strong role in my upbringing. And I know that I am not the only one in this House that can say such a thing, Mr. Speaker. And now I have my wife and my daughter to help shape me into being a more loving husband and supportive dad. Each one of us owes a lot to the women in our lives who have been there in the good and the bad times. Speaker, we know that COVID has impacted women at a higher rate than men, and this includes both economically and their social well-being. Speaker, can the Minister of Children and Women's Issues tell the House what the government is doing to support women across Ontario, especially during the pandemic? Thank you, Speaker.
Associate Minister of Children and Women's Issues.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to the member from Kitchener-Conestoga for that great question and also for being a friend and supporter to myself and my caucus colleagues. Speaker, it is true that the pandemic has disproportionately impacted women. Women have been more likely to lose their jobs or leave work to care for kids, and the rates of domestic violence are on the rise. From the very beginning of the pandemic, I've been working hard with sector partners and colleagues to put supports around women. Women's shelters have remained opened. Additional funding has been given to help with infection and prevention control. Emergency childcare has been given to frontline workers, and a majority of those being women. Speaker, our government has given wage increases to frontline workers like PSWs and those in the social services sector, with again the majority of them being women. And we are investing into retraining those who have lost their jobs into things like skilled trades, which has many incredible opportunities that are well-paying and secure. These are just some of the things that we have done, with more, so that women will not be left behind during this pandemic and beyond.
Supplementary question.
Well, thank you very much, Speaker, and thank you to the Minister for that response. It's reassuring to know that our government is focusing on protecting those who have been impacted the most by the pandemic, and of course this includes women. Speaker, the Minister mentioned something that I think is important. Many of those on the front lines of this pandemic are women. These are strong, brave women who have been on the front lines, front and centre, risking their lives to support us. From nurses and doctors to support staff at our local hospitals, to police officers and first responders, a heartfelt thank you, Speaker. As I said before, we really owe a lot to the women in our lives, whether directly or indirectly, and we should be celebrating them and thanking them every day, Speaker. It is even more true on International Women's Day. Can the Minister please share what we can do to thank all the women in our lives for the incredible work that they do?
The Associate Minister.
Thank you, Speaker, and thank you again to the member for that question. Speaker, we celebrate International Women's Day to highlight the success and leadership of women around the world. And the first place I would like to start is right here to the women in this chamber. Each one is a wonderful representative in their riding and their communities, and showing strong leadership that women belong everywhere. And while we may disagree on policy or politics, each one of us is working hard to represent our constituents while balancing many other responsibilities. And it is an honour to serve in this House with each and every one of you. Speaker, I also want to take a moment to recognize the nurses, doctors, personal support workers, researchers, childcare and early years workers, and other women on the front line of this pandemic, to say a thank you to all of them. We already know how phenomenal women and girls are and the important role that they play in each one of our lives. COVID has only made it clear that Ontario would not operate without the extraordinary women who have stepped in and stepped up to protect our province. That includes our Deputy Premier and Minister of Health, who has done an outstanding job to work hard for this province.
Thank you very much.